Welcome back to Football Daily Weekly, where this week we have Phil from 100% LCFC.
Hi champs, how are you?
Really good. I'm good, thank you. Good. Really good. It's even better to have you on someone who knows what it's like to top the league this season.
Yeah, do you guys not know that then?
You kind of do. Have they been top this season, United?
I think for moments.
Yeah.
For a day here and a day there.
Well, someone who's used to spending time at the
pretty
pinnacle.
constantly there.
Yeah. I love how he's lording it over us now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, come on, we've had years of rubbish watching Leicester, so we're going to take this week or two.
That's a really good point. We're talking about Leicester, top of the show, obviously. We're also talking about the lovely Chelsea 0-0 they had away, PSG, Newcastle, what's going on there at the moment? And finally, Arsenal, what's going on there at the moment? But let's get straight down to it, guys. There's a reason we brought you on the show, Phil, and it is to talk about the party that Leicester are all having.
It's pretty fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
What's that down to?
Just hard work, I think. It's nice to see lads out there just enjoying themselves. They're not all superstars. None of them are, really, although Vardy looks like he might be making himself one. But it's just a group of nobodies playing their hearts out, really.
A group of nobodies organised by somebody who's a somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
But we were all saying he wasn't a somebody 5 months ago.
We were all, I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that we all the problem was that he was a somebody because we knew he was someone.
Yeah. I mean, lots of people called him the Tinkerman. I think that's a bit unfair. He was almost, when he was at Chelsea in the early 2000s, he was almost creating the blueprint, wasn't he, for how managers have gone on.
Now.
Yeah,
a trendsetter, if you like. Someone who's ahead of his time. But it didn't quite work then.
Rotating a squad. Well, he did quite well at Chelsea, didn't he?
Someone said the other day, do you think that Abramovich regrets sacking Ranieri? No, because he got Jose Mourinho at the time, obviously. But, he obviously got rid of a lovely granddad. So what about that granddad and how he's organising his side? Because everyone said if there's any side that Leicester won't get through, it's this solid Manchester United team.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically using a lot of the players that we had last season under Nigel Pearson. So he's come in and tweaked a couple of players. But he's not done too much. But what he's installed is, I think he's given them the freedom to go out and have fun and enjoy it. If you can have fun in the Premier League, all the lads are out there just,
pretty
enjoying it.
It's pretty irresistible to watch, isn't it? Against a side who are quite resistible at the moment.
Polar opposites to Man United, who are very rigid, solid at the back, structured going forward, but without solid at the back, structured without any sort of real flair going forward. Whereas Leicester, I think, running between the lines with Mahrez and Vardy, and that are very, very successful at.
Now, let's finish off. Where do you think that the Foxes will finish this season?
If I'm honest, I'm thinking.
Be honest, because that's what we like. We
top
need
10.
You to be honest.
I'd love us to be top 10. I think that'd be a massive improvement from last season.
Do you think it's too far to get to Europe?
No, I think we could do it. I think.
Do you remember Ipswich?
Yeah.
West Ham last season.
Well, you've got to remember though, we've got billionaire owners. We're just not doing it the Man City way. We're not splashing the cash. I think they're building a club with real foundations.
You have restrained billionaires, essentially.
Yeah.
That's unusual, isn't it?
It is. So a lot of the talk will be, will Vardy go in January? Will some big club,
I can't see that happening. I literally can't see Vardy. I can't see him leaving in a £30 million move.
He's reached his level, hasn't he, I feel? That's almost the point with Vardy.
I don't see him ever going to a Man United or a Chelsea and going on banging.
You regret that when they buy him for $30 million in Manchester?
I genuinely can't see a big top-level club coming in for him. I think he's not young, let's face it, he's not young to then spend £30 million on a 6-month, let's face it, he's not been amazing for, I know everywhere he's been he's scored a fair few goals.
Fleetwood Town, mate.
Exactly, Fleetwood Town, so you're spending £30 million on a risk, it's a big, big risk that he doesn't carry on doing it.
I'd also say he's not worth $30 million, so Leicester essentially, what they've got is a player who's peaking at their club.
Just right.
Yeah.
But I would say that there's got to be 16 Champions League sides in January all thinking, hang on, if we want to really do something in that competition, here's a player who's not cup-tied.
Yeah, brilliant.
Top of the Premier League.
That's brilliant.
Which one of those 16 teams won't want the Premiership's top scorer? Not that we want to sell him.
Speaking of tinkering, Jose Mourinho has obviously been doing that with his team. Whether you're bibbed or not, you're still in the squad. And he started Hazard. They said they started no recognisable strikers. Pedro.
Oh, you can't, come on, he's not a striker.
Pedro's a striker?
No.
Pedro's a striker?
He was never even a striker at
Pedro's a striker.
Barca. In what way?
Pedro's a striker.
The higher you go doesn't mean it's better points.
Pedro's a striker, mate.
No, he's very much a winger that can play as an inverted winger. I don't think he's ever going to be an out-and-out striker.
Yeah, good point. So the actual point we're making there is that they started with enough attacking quality to still be able to score goals.
Oh, yeah. definitely. But I still think that they're missing. It was not so much that I thought Hazard was excellent, by the way. I thought he was much improved playing with a bit more creative freedom, going right to left.
When he didn't have to track back.
Yeah, basically when he was much more free, I thought he was a lot stronger. But I still thought, where last season what would have happened was Fabregas would have picked a ball between the lines, and he was appalling again.
I think someone said the 18 minutes of possession that Chelsea had in the first half, he gave the ball away. Someone said 10 times. I couldn't tell if they were making that up or not. Yeah. But that's a lot of times to give the ball away, isn't it? That's crazy.
He was just... And it's now been a year almost that Fabregas has been poor. He was poor from Christmas onwards, and we're coming up to Christmas again. And he's died significantly. I don't know whether it's confidence or training regimes or something like that, but he's miles off the pace for a top 4 Premier League team.
But then you look at some of the players around him and they're still miles off the pace as well. And the point would be there that, Diego Costa didn't start this game for some reason. Weird.
I enjoyed it when Fabregas took the free kick right in the centre circle and belted it into William.
Yeah.
About a yard in front. That was really nice.
I feel a bit sorry for it. That's what I found weird, was as much as we're saying that Chelsea are improved, because that is an improvement, they're still not where we think they should be. And weirdly, they're almost pushing each other off the ball where on the pitch. It's like there's not much cohesion in that side, is there?
To be fair to Willian, I thought he was very good again yesterday. I think one of Spurs' main threats is actually their fullbacks going forward. Kyle Walker's looked very strong going forward, and Danny Rose the same. And I thought Willian, as much as we talk about Willian going forward and his free kicks and his sort of speciality in and around the box, I think one of his strongest assets is coming back with play and filling in and supporting Ivanovic when he needs to. And I thought he had Danny Rose wrapped up all day long yesterday by himself almost. Ivanovic barely had to do anything defensively.
Thank God.
I know.
Yeah, but then to contrast that with Spurs, obviously, Spurs seem to be getting good results right now. Continue, I think it was the 13th in a row there, 13th result in a row. They didn't lose. That's obviously a positive. They look very un-Spurs-esque, is what people are saying. Yeah,
they look determined, don't they, I think?
Yeah.
Harry Kane's looked really good this season. I think it's been interesting to see how they're developing around, and they're looking like they're going to be a solid top sort of 6 team this season. Maybe they've got eyes on top 4, I don't know.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
Definitely have eyes on top 4.
PSG, that's Paris, guys. And obviously with PSG, they've had some great results since what happened.
Yeah.
There was a 5-0 against Malmo. That was never really going to be a big problem, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the return of Zlatan. Great game to watch. But then on the weekend, again, pretty much an expected result, 4-1.
Yeah, well, Troy's a pretty appalling team, but so who's the whole of Liga right now?
Liga's not as strong as it could be.
It's defensively, it's really shambolic. But I think there's something about Paris Saint-Germain at the moment. They're a very, very strong team. I think they're underestimated in Europe. I genuinely think they can go quite deep into the Champions League this year. I don't think beyond Barcelona and Bayern, which they're on a different planet at the moment, okay? But behind them, you look at Real Madrid, probably not what they once were.
No, but still,
the English teams are still dying off.
Surprise, haven't they? All these teams got their element of surprise.
But then the Italians not as strong as they once were. Juventus, especially.
Yeah.
The English teams are very, very weak in Europe, seemingly. So
Bayern, though.
Yeah, Bayern and Barcelona again. They're just next level. But for a team like Paris Saint-Germain, I think they stand a serious chance of getting to the semis. And if they can, you never know, if Bayern and Barca draw each other in a,
as good as winning it.
I genuinely think they're contenders.
Interesting. Do you agree with that? I mean, attacking-wise, it's quite interesting to watch PSG right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think their general league not being as strong means that during their week-to-week battles, then in the Premier League, when you're playing Man City's, Arsenal's, there's 8 or 10 teams that are tiring. Leicester's, of course.
It's pretty tiring to play Leicester.
But in the French league and likewise in the Spanish league, the level, it doesn't go as deep. So week in, week out, they can probably rest players a little bit more and prep up for the Champions League. So I think PSG are geared up. I think that's the one they really want to win, isn't it?
Maybe it gives them a little bit more time to trial players as well. You can throw, like you were saying, Maxwell's been pushed out of their side.
Yeah, well, Kurzawa's been absolutely fantastic in there the last few weeks. Very much a different style of player to Maxwell, where Maxwell is more of a classic tuck inside and be very strong defensively. I think Blanc's realised he doesn't necessarily need that in Liga, where there's nobody attacking him, so he's just put Kurzawa out. Kurzawa scores a screamer of a volley on the weekend, great goal. And then outside him, you look at Di Maria on that left-hand side, who is starting to recapture some of that Real Madrid brilliance that he lost at Manchester United, playing a lot more centrally, coming inside, where a bit more of an inverted winger. It seems like the fashion at the moment, inverted wingers kind of fine, doing it very much with Koeman and things like that. Yeah. But he's fantastic when he comes inside. I don't think he's quite when he was in Madrid, when he was at midfield presence, was when he was at his really best.
It's interesting to work out where his best position is for any side, isn't it?
I'd love to see a PSG midfield with Matuidi, Verratti, and Di Maria. I think that would,
when they're all fit.
When they're all fit, that would be one of the most dynamic midfields in Europe.
Behind Ronaldo, possibly.
Yeah, I was going to say Ronaldo. Did you see there was moving scenes before the game, wasn't there? And there was on the video screens there was lots of messages from players. Ronaldo, when his message came up, got a massive cheer, as did David Beckham's, which was great to see. Obviously, they were the two favourite ones. So
a lot of affection for the ex-United number 7s.
Yeah, it looks like they're they might be maybe building Ronaldo up for that move.
Definitely.
Yeah, certainly so. I think Ronaldo's building himself up for that move, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean that would be a formidable attack, wouldn't it? Ronaldo replacing Ibrahimovic in form at the moment, but maybe you drop Ibrahimovic, look to bring Ronaldo in. Di Maria drops into a midfield role, and my God, that is one hell of a PSG team.
I see what you're saying. The problem is in football, obviously you're only ever present in the moment, so you can only ever play that team that you have.
Yeah.
I feel a bit like the presence of Ibra and Ronaldo almost hold back this PSG team. I feel like there could be someone else in there, much more along the lines of a Verratti. I'm not saying Verratti himself, but you know what I mean, a player in the ilk of Verratti that would allow this team to be freer, a little bit more, and make their own name, if you like. I feel like PSG have had their time where they've had Ibrahimovic, the big stars, other people they've bought from other people. I think it's time that PSG start to do something a little bit different and actually build a project of their own, a bit like City are looking to do in Manchester.
Maybe, but I think if Ronaldo comes available, you can't say no to him.
No.
He will go to France and he will score 40 goals. That's what will happen if
you
he
heard
goes
it here
there.
first, folks.
Well, he will. This league is so poor that Ronaldo could go there and score a lot of goals.
It's so poor that PSG, the guys who are second to them, are as close to the bottom as they are to the top.
Yeah,
That's
and I think
poor
they've got some madness like +3 goal difference in their second, and it's
exactly. Whereas PSG +29
shocking.
goal difference.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah,
13 points clear of the top now, and it's a straight shot. For them.
They almost put Leicester to shame.
I think financially, Ronaldo going in they'll recoup the money very quickly as well. The shirt sales, the sponsorship.
All these pricks who don't even live there buying the shirts.
I know.
I didn't want to say it.
I want to say it. Moving on. Point number 4 is, and this one's owners who are in trouble themselves, laying a team out. Newcastle. What?
I watched them 2 weeks ago when they laid down and let Leicester just walk all around them. We beat them 3-0. And they were just disgraceful, really, how the players were running around. And again, against Crystal Palace at the weekend, they look like they've got no organisation, no passion, no heart. They do not want to be there.
It was a party.
Party, not a party.
What the hell's happened to Colaccini? I mean, he used to be like a bit of a titan back there for Newcastle, didn't he? And now he's just like he's soft.
He's sliding in like you do on Sunday League. You know when you're going in trying to defend like that, where you just slide in carelessly and that, again, let goals in against Palace like that.
The problem is, it's very difficult to have any centre-back pairing when only one of them is of a great quality. Yeah. And I mean, I was speaking to my Crystal Palace insider, and he was making the point that this is one of maybe the worst Newcastle display and worst Newcastle side they've seen.
Well, they are
decades.
Aren't they?
I think the players individually, there's some quality there. They spent over £50 million in the summer, and they've got some good players there, but it looks like they're just there maybe for the money. They're not there. They don't really want to be in Newcastle.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's not unfair on the fans most of all, because they really are some great fans up there.
They're great fans. I mean, if you go to St James's Park, it's also a great stadium to go play your football.
There's something inherently wrong there, and I don't think it's the players so much as the manager so much. I think it's the infrastructure above it that it starts up there. These sorts of things.
McLaren looks like a beaten man already, doesn't he? He stands on the touchline. You watch his post-match interviews, and he's slumped and he looks down, obviously.
That's just him normally.
But he just looks beaten, doesn't he? I think Ashley's just driven him into the ground now, and then his players aren't helping either. So
Arsenal finding it hard to do things right now. Yeah, am I right in saying that? I mean, against Norwich were allowed to play their football.
They looked very, very tired again, Arsenal. Don't know whether it's. I think it comes down to the fact again they didn't buy enough players in the summer.
Or they've got 9 injuries.
Yeah, partly. But then, how many outfield players did they go and buy in the summer to cover for those injuries that they must have known were going to happen? There was at least 4 or 5 injuries that top teams are going to suffer.
They should have bought 5. Yeah.
I mean, you look at Alexis Sanchez. How much weight are they putting on him that Wenger pre-game knows he's got a hamstring injury and is still forced to play him.
And to be fair, he says he actually didn't have a hamstring injury, and that all the medical staff said that he was actually okay to play, and even Sanchez himself said he was okay to play.
And Sanchez has a bit of a history of this, doesn't he? I remember him at Barca. Do you remember that one where Pep is having a full-scale rant at him for saying that he was fit when he wasn't, and then pulled his hamstring? I think this is not the first time Sanchez has done it. He seems like that type of player where if he's not playing every minute of the game...
What a wanker wanting to play his football.
I know.
They've run him into the ground, haven't they, Sanchez, really? I think he's played 90 games in 16 months for club and country. That's a terrific amount,
and
isn't
32 games since the end of last season. He's almost played a full season since then. I mean, it's all well and good saying that. It's still that Arsenal have got the resources and have made a model where it should be working, and it isn't currently working. And that's part of the problem, isn't it? Is we can say, they'd be one of the few clubs that if the millions went away, then they'd still be sustainable, etc., etc.
But then you look at what they
still have to compete, they've almost built themselves into this situation, so they have to be evaluated as such. And if we evaluate them as such, they've lost a game against West Brom, which you'd argue they were unlucky to do, but it still looked typical. Playing a pewless side, they were found out, and then against Norwich had better chances than Arsenal.
I think Arsenal, the first 40 minutes yesterday, were really solid and looked like the team I think most Arsenal fans would expect them to, and then they switched off with
I think it's that tiredness
again.
It's that tiredness again coming into it. You look at when Koscielny comes off injured, that's a big problem for Arsenal.
When Sanchez comes off injured, that's a big... When Cazorla comes off injured, that's a...
But I think Koscielny more so than arguably behind Coquelin, who's, if he gets injured, it's a big trouble. Yeah. I think Koscielny's almost second in there, because even if Sanchez gets injured, you look at some of the attacking threat they've still got in the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain going forward to replace him. Koscielny, you look at getting injured and you think Paulista and Mertesacker, where do they fit on that level of Koscielny? I think Koscielny's
they're not on the same level,
they're not on the same level as him.
But then they do have Petr Cech behind them. They have someone that can still organise the back line.
I mean, brilliant save to keep him in the game again.
A fantastic save to keep him in the game. But then you give them credit for buying him in the summer, knowing and pointing that out and getting the player that they wanted. The opposite of this is it's very difficult to analyse Arsenal, isn't it? Because they don't necessarily always play a fantastic full... It's very rare you'll see 90 minutes from Arsenal where you say that was a full fantastic 90. They very often play 60 where they'll keep the ball, try and basically keep hold of possession, move the other team around, even though they're not necessarily a possession-based team, and then they'll move the ball very quickly, get a goal. Move the ball very quickly, get a goal. When that doesn't work, and a team like Norwich or West Brom shut them down... They look a little bit bereft of ideas, don't they?
I don't know if they looked a bit tired as well yesterday. At the end of the first half, they looked tired. At the end of the second half, there was only going to be one winner in that game. It was going to be Norwich. They were peppering the goal for the last 4 or 5 minutes and into
And we're only in November still. It's like this is a recurring scenario for Arsenal now. If you look at some of the options that were available in the summer, even down to as far as Bastian Schweinsteiger, he would have been a great little signing for them.
Ooh, can you imagine him playing that team? That'd be great.
He'd have been a fantastic signing for them. Maybe a bit of experience they need to be solid in that midfield. Could have dropped deep and can push forward. But they're not looking at these options.
Well, they are, or maybe they're saying they don't need them.
Or maybe they're just missing out on them. I don't know whether there's a problem at the very top or if it's coming from Wenger, but they've got to look. The best teams don't just target young players with potential.
It's been lovely to have you guys on the show. Joe, thanks always for coming on. Consistent analysis, 100% Joe. And of course, 100% from Phil, again, 100% LCFC. Is that where people can go to find you?
That's absolutely right, yeah.
What kind of stuff do they see over there?
Chat, we work with an ex-Leicester City pro called Alan Young, so he comes and gives us his lots of tactics, lots of views about Leicester City. We talk with the fans.
A lot of tactical chat over there. I've not seen it, but I'm tempted.
Yeah, bits of tactical chat, quite a lot of stupidity as well.
And that is what YouTube's all about. Thank you very much for joining us this week, guys. We'll see you again real soon on Football Daily.